Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
From Detroit, Michigan, he is a true sports fan. And I already checked him because I asked him who's the number one running back in Detroit's background. And without even a blip, Dillon answered intelligently, accurately, and then brought up the newest man. Dillon, you're a multi-entrepreneur expert is what I'm going to call you. And relaxing in your home in your big sweatshirt. I'm in Thailand, you're in Detroit, and here we are today. Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast.
Thank you, Mitch. It's good to be here.
And how did you get into the podcasting arena? And that's what people are going to be exposed to today. We're going to geek out a little bit. We're going to talk about your past some so they can make this connection. That seems to be the roadmap to a successful interview.
Yeah. It's funny when I tell people that, I have a podcast and I've interviewed celebrities like Danica Patrick or people in like the political scene and like it. People are like, how you're, and they're by accident, Mitch. That's actually how this all happened. And honestly,
I was going to ask that. How did you tap into that A-list?
Yeah. So, to give the quick backstory, I started selling insurance in 2018, 100% commission, right? I was getting married in 3 months. So I had 3 months to prove to my to-be wife that I could make money in selling insurance, 100% commission. It was B2B sales. So I knocked on 100 doors, like 100 businesses per week in person, just grinded it out until we made a successful business. 2019, my wife ended up quitting her job to even work with me on the agency. And then if you know what happened in 2020, COVID hit and it kind of just shook up our whole lives. What we learned throughout COVID is putting all your eggs in one basket is never a good idea, especially when you're talking about finances, business, whatever. So in 2020, we were 70% down in revenue from 2019. And my wife ended up working in real estate. And what I learned was the power of relationships trump anything you could possibly do in life. Because there were multiple people throughout that year that helped me. And I knew I wanted to make content. So during 2020, I started watching like a lot of like finance YouTube videos. There's a guy named like Graham Stephan. He's a very popular YouTuber. And I'm like, man, I kind of want to make finance channels because we were like really tight on our budget. I was really into like getting credit card points and paying them off and using them like debit cards and all this kind of stuff. So I made this like finance YouTube channel that I really enjoyed making, but I realized something, Mitch. I hate editing. Like I like yapping and I hate editing. I don't know if you've spent much time.
Oh, zero.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
It sucks.
So I get you. It's no.
And then I would work really hard, and then like Adobe Premiere would like corrupt a file, and I'd lose it, and my computer would freeze. And so my grand dreams of being some famous finance YouTuber fell because I didn't want to edit, and it just was taking way too much time. So I made like 10 videos and I quit. Classic story of a creative, right? Fast forward a couple more years, 2023. I listened to a couple podcasts, but I wouldn't say I was like a podcast, I listened to like 3, Tim Ferriss had a podcast from the 4-Hour Work Week. There's a podcast called the 5 a.m. Miracle. And then back then I listened to a little bit of Rogan. So I knew they existed, but I wasn't like a podcast fanatic. But like Joe Rogan's podcast was like all over my YouTube. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like they're just 2 dudes talking or 2 people talking. Like it's not flashy. It's just they're chatting. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that. And my buddy had a business. He started a lawn care business and it failed. Like it went under. 2 years later, he tried again and he made a successful business. And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's real entrepreneurship. Like that's not the entrepreneurship that you see on YouTube with flashy cars and Lamborghinis. And it's not real. And I'm like, that grit and determination, I was like, someone needs to highlight that story. So I jokingly said to my wife, I was like, hey, somebody should interview Derek on a podcast. And she goes, why don't you just start a podcast? Because I had all the equipment. I had the camera gear from when I was doing that like finance YouTube stuff. So I had some mics, I had the camera equipment, And with my insurance business, I had tons of business contacts. We service over 150 companies here in Michigan. They're all entrepreneurs that are amazing, that people should hear their story. So I had the idea of just starting a podcast, interviewing local Michigan entrepreneurs, and that's where it was born. And back to editing, Mitch, I realized I hated editing. I only released one episode a month my first year because I was trying to like do all these cool edits and I was trying to like make intros and I was doing these really cool things, but it just took a lot of time. So I only did
That
12.
called perfectionism, Dillon?
Yeah, which has helped me a little bit actually, I think in some ways, but also hurt me in other ways. But I limped through 12 episodes our first year, but I loved it. I remember like my third episode, there's this company called EOS in America. It stands for Entrepreneur Operating System. It's like a consulting company. And I interviewed a guy that's an EOS implementer. So they teach companies how to run on this thing. And after the interview, he told me, and this comment probably is why I made it in podcasting. He said, Dillon, I've been interviewed a million times in my life. Because he was like a super successful business owner, sold for multiple millions, then came on the show. And he's like, this is the best interview I've ever done. And I'm 3 episodes in. And
Applause,
I just
man. I mean,
and it was humbling.
Hang on a second. You get the squeeze.
Oh, I get the squeeze. That's awesome. I get the chicken.
This is a gem, and it's from my buddy the chicken. You get
That's
that?
amazing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it humbled me because it meant a lot to me because creating content's very lonely. It's very intimidating to put yourself out there. And so to get that compliment, and whether or not, I look back on my early episodes and I'm like, I was terrible, right?
But that was a pivotal moment for you.
Yes. It allowed me the belief that I could do this.
Yes.
And that's powerful. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
And then it really kind of unlocked this crazy dream that like, I could really like talk to cool people on this thing. Like maybe there's a chance that I could talk to these dream celebs and these people and dream guests. So one of the big things with Mike, his name's Mike Ruley. He's like, if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen, right? If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. So you have to write things down.
Okay.
So I wrote down a list of dream guests, right?
Physically written it
Physically,
down.
write it down, right? And just different people I follow, different people I like, and we'll get back to that list in a second. So put that over there. I start podcasting, and then I have this guy on from a satire news organization called the Babylon Bee. They just make funny spoof articles in the political sphere, like The Onion. This is like the conservative version of The Onion.
Right.
We had a video go viral on YouTube, 10-minute clip, hit around 500,000 views on YouTube. That allowed me to get in front of another political commentator that has about 4.2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He came on the podcast when he was in Detroit. Then he invited me to an event where I had Danica Patrick on the podcast. And then it just kind of has just kind of gone from there.
Wow.
And back to that dream list, there is this guy named Nick Freitas, who is a content creator. He's a former Green Beret. He serves in the Virginia House of Delegates, family man, Christian. I love the guy. And I follow his content since COVID. He's coming on the podcast next month. And he was one of those guests on one of my dream guest lists. Another chicken. And so it's like, and the weird thing with that, it's weird, Mitch. Like I'm actually going to his studio in Virginia to record my show in his studio. So it's really weird. And it's just a really cool thing where I'm just I just feel like such imposter syndrome. Like I'm an insurance guy, and then God has just opened up these doors to make this side project a really cool thing. And then as a result of that, local people in Detroit started asking me for help starting podcasts, right? They were just like, hey, how do we start one? Like, what do we do? And that's turned into a business. And so now we've really leaned into companies, especially B2B companies, looking for exposure, but also looking for relationships. And we were talking about this ahead of before we recorded. Podcasts are a relationship machine. At the end of the day, forget the views.
We're friends now. We've made friends. Yeah.
We have rapport, right? There's credibility. We trust each other a little bit more. I know who you are, right? And within my insurance agency, within other things, what I realized, hey, people I'm bringing on the podcast, they're turning into clients or they're giving me referrals. That's a method. That's a method of success. And so we've been working through, and we've just created this really cool system to help companies even track their ROI. And because a lot of companies and people like the concept of podcasting as a relationship, but then they do all this work and then they're like, wait, how much has my podcast actually helped me this year? Like, I'm not sure.
That's the dilemma, isn't it? They usually last the statistics. I'm a stats guy, and it sounds like you are. I'm a numbers person.
Yes.
I'm one of those
Yeah, same.
knowing MBAs. Is after 8 episodes, most quit.
Mm-hmm.
And where the success starts is after 50 and then 100. Those seem to be the benchmarks. If you
Yep.
make it to those levels, something happens statistically. And there are all
Yeah.
sorts of theories, but I'd be curious to hear yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two reasons. Number one, people that start podcasts don't have a good plan from the beginning, and they don't really know what they're looking to get out of it.
Right.
They just know they need to start one, right? It's like if I said I'm going to start a business without a business plan, you would be like, you're kind of dumb. You should probably create your business plan before you create your business. But so many people create podcasts without a business plan for their podcast.
Yes, they just throw the mud up against the wall and hope it sticks.
Right. But then they can't track success.
Mm.
So one of the biggest things I do for companies that already have podcasts, my first question is them. I'm like, okay, in 12 months from working with me, what makes this a success? Like, we need to define that. Is it more leads? Is it more impressions and views? Is it more exposure? Is it you want more? Like, what is that one thing that now we can track? And so what I always encourage people when they start podcasts, don't make a view goal. No one's going to watch your first episode. No one's going to watch your first 10 episodes, except for maybe your mom and some friends, right? But you're not going to blow up overnight, most likely. Make a episode goal. So you mentioned that 20 number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Record 20 episodes. That's your goal, and improve every single time. That's your first goal, right? Don't make it about the views. If you make it about the views, if you make it about the subscribers, you're going to quit. And then, especially if you're a business, if you're doing this for relationships and leads, treat it like a sales machine, treat it like a sales vehicle, right? So have you contacted those people after the podcast? Have you set a meeting, follow up the podcast? Do you know how many referrals these people have given you? How many guests have you converted into clients? Like, just track those things so you actually know if this is something that's actually worth doing in the future.
And how many episodes do you recommend someone record per month?
Well,
local business. Let's talk about your clients.
Yeah, I honestly just really like a weekly podcast, 52 a year.
Okay.
Because if the average company and the average business owner or that is very busy, they're a very busy person. And I think sometimes they think they're more busy than they actually are. Don't we all, right? Like, they probably have more time. And
Netflix fills in a lot of that.
Right. Yeah. But if you say, hey, I need you to record 40 podcast episodes this month, they'd be like, well, that seems insane. But if I say, hey, listen, we're going to batch record, right? One Friday, we're going to have 4 guests, and each is going to be an hour. And in one Friday, we're going to get your whole months of content. That's all I need from you. That's doable for a lot of people. And that's 52 new contacts in a year. And if I would ask the average business, salesperson, individual, what would getting in front of 52 of your ideal clients each year mean for you? I think they would always say, like, that would change my business. And not only that, getting in front of 52 of your ideal clients that have been vetted that they're ideal and now have a relationship and rapport with you, what would that mean to you? And I think that they would be like, that changes everything. And that's what podcasting can be for businesses. And so for us, we just teach 52 a year, weekly podcast.
And that seems to be a very manageable number for most. I mean,
yes, because it's one day. It's one day a month. We batch record, get the guests all scheduled for the same day. And whether it's in person shoots where we show up with the camera crew and get it done at their studio, or it's virtual, either way, in their head, it's like, hey, I just need you for one day for this venture to work. And it's a manageable start for a lot of people.
How important is video today as part of podcasting?
Don't do it if you're not, like, don't podcast if you're not going to do video.
All right. That's how important it is. YouTube is huge. Like when I attended one of the podcast of conferences, I think it was a year and a half ago, I was in Washington, D.C. It was the second largest podcast movement, I think it was, and I listened to all the speakers. I was there just to educate myself. It was very quiet. I thought, I know broadcasting because of my deep television and radio backgrounds, but it's a different platform. And they said something that stuck in my head from all over the world. YouTube is important, where it was just an audio platform, and live podcasting, meaning having the show live. And then, of course, running through Facebook Live, YouTube Live. What are your thoughts on that?
Let me answer the video piece first,
Sure.
and then I'll get to the live. So the video piece is something that there's a reason why even radio stations are streaming live on Twitch or live on YouTube,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because they have to stay relevant.
Have to.
Because you can't market audio, right? Like, what is marketing for a podcast? It's Instagram Reels, it's YouTube Reels. How do you do that with audio? Maybe an AI avatar or something like that, but it would be really tough, right? So video is your marketing. If you don't have video, you can't really market your podcast well. So that's why video matters. Very few people, even like when I listen to a podcast, I am in my car. I listen to the audio. But when I'm
Sure.
finding podcasts, I'm on my phone or I'm on the toilet swiping through Instagram. Oh, wow, that's kind of a funny podcast. Huh, let me follow them. That's what it's for. So YouTube, like, number one, YouTube is owned by Google. So if you want to be part of the,
Hint, hint.
yes, like if you want to be part of the biggest search hit like platform in the world, you probably should put your stuff on YouTube. And videos. Regarding the live, this is what I'd say. When it comes to searchability and best chance for exposure and growth, I think live is great. And I think when you go live, you can build a community better.
Mm-hmm.
If you do go live, you need to have consistent times you go live.
Yes.
Same time, same place.
Every Friday or whatever it is.
Right. Like treat it like a TV show, treat it like a broadcast, right? The downside to live for an interview show is this, especially if you're talking with people that aren't used to being behind a microphone in front of a camera, you'll get less interest because it's live. Because sometimes, especially business owners of big companies, need to have the freedom to edit things out. Because if they say one thing, especially a public trading company, like if you're talking to anyone with a publicly traded company, they won't do a live most likely because they need the freedom to edit. If they say something wrong, if they say something, whatever. So I have found that I've considered going live, and I really like when you listen to my podcast, it like depending on the guest, it gets really real, and I like diving in deep, and we talk about emotional stories. I don't know if that would happen live because I don't know if that guest would feel a little more guarded, like, ooh, if anything I say slips out. Because I start every episode saying, hey, this is edited. No pressure. If you mess up, it's not a problem. No one's seeing this live. And that lets everyone breathe. So for me, I've made the choice not to go live just so I think I'm going to have a better conversation. But I think going live is great if you want the max searchability as possible. And that's the thing you have to weigh up. Like, what do you want to achieve?
Yeah, my thought on that, I wanted to do X amount of recorded interviews to get super familiar with the platform because I understand the tech is so important when you go live. You better have that dialed in because it is a show, as you clearly stated, and I agree. It is a live show where you show up every week at this time and there's going to be a profound guest. I think it would be valuable to maybe have as a two-person, meaning two guests with you on the show. Because I don't know if you've experienced this. No shows, it's driven me crazy. We met through a platform that brought us together. And I've had just this week out of 7 interviews that were scheduled, 2 didn't show up.
Yeah.
No explanation, nothing. How do you manage that?
For me personally, I don't do the volume you do.
Okay.
So I'm very picky. Like, so we're not on that platform. Everyone that comes on my show, it personally has a pre-call. So we do pre-calls with every guest.
I don't pre-call.
Right. So we do like they talk
No time for that.
yeah. Well, me or my admin. Like they don't necessarily talk to me, but there will be a pre-call as part of that. There's a form that they fill out. So there's like multiple steps that they have to like do before they can get on the show that prove that they're going to show up. So with you being such a high volume show, I don't, especially when you're sourcing guests, you really like just don't know from Adam, like you're meeting people for the first time. I think it's just going to be par for the course. The other downside with the live that I think you're going to find out, what happens if your guest has a bad connection? What happens if your guest?
Oh, yes. That's why I'm saying 2, not
right. Yeah. And if it's live and then you're just waiting for even like today, right? Like I came with a microphone I thought was going to work and then I had to end up switching microphones. Well, if your show went live right at 4 and I'm switching like to me, there's just so much that can go wrong. And I did a live commentary show by myself for a little bit. And I just have found, even with my own stress and the trade-off, it's not worth it for me. Now you can trick live. You know what I would recommend you do, Mitch, is when you go, you can actually go live as a premiere on YouTube and put a recorded video as the live video, and it will show up as live. And then
Uh,
once it's done, then um then it just sits there as the live video. So you could record one and then actually just post it as a live. And that's how I would get around that.
that yeah, then you don't have any of the tech failure. Like you're technically very sound. You've got
Yeah.
quality microphones, you've got a mixer, all of that translate. Hey, this guy knows what he's doing. Because to play with a mixing board is a whole different level. Plug it in into USB or micro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you can premiere things on YouTube, and like that would be a really good way to like, because then you go live, but it's a recorded video. So there are ways that you could still get that live button to pop up
Now you're
without.
also quite adept at YouTube. Tell us what your how many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
So we only have about 3,000, but
Okay.
we've also only released 50 episodes.
Ah,
So like I said, I'm very picky with my guests. Where like we the show's only been going for 2 years. I did 12 the first year, and then we're like on a weekly cadence right now. And so, we've done like 57, 58, something like that. Um, and yeah, and when you watch, like, each of my podcasts has a customized intro. So like everyone, like, there's a customized intro for each podcast of the best moments, like Diary of a CEO level. And so that's just, I've made the choice for my show where I want high production, and that's just what we've done so far. Although, Mitch, like, honestly, like, we are considering upping the volume going into next year. I think you can't make enough good relationships, right? And so I think that we just have to make the decision of
you do
content.
sacrifice quality a little bit.
Yep.
If I'm doing mass, I'm Walmart and you're more of a Tiffany type of
Right.
action. If you're
Yeah.
customizing each intro, I don't have time for that.
Right.
I couldn't manage that with the amount of the
Yeah.
volume I'm doing. And I
Yeah.
understand Dyer, the CEO, he's obviously in the top. He interviews some major people. He's got all the jump cuts in there. He
And
spoke at the podcast conference I attended.
yeah.
Guy's brilliant. Really
Yeah.
is switched on. And he
But then you
tests.
have to make a decision, like
Yeah,
what you just said. Like, you have to choose. Like, and this is when we consult all the time. It's like, hey, like, if we're gonna increase the volume, like, so I have a dedicated editor that edits all my stuff, right?
sure.
Um, and if we're gonna increase the volume, then we might have to pull in another one. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that, like, because of ROI. And so that's just decision. So I think what we're even thinking for my show moving forward is we're gonna have a pre-made intro, highlights like a lot of my best guests and highest, and we'll just like cut that and put that in the beginning of everyone, so we don't have to
And
tweak
the
it.
outro is yours.
Yeah. So like Theo Vaughn, for example, on his podcast, he has a pre-cut, like it's the same thing every time. And
Mine is
it's
also.
yeah. And so like I'm considering doing that. I've also just really enjoyed like giving each guest a customized experience, but it does limit us to the amount we can push out. So the other thing about YouTube is one of my best friends, his name's Trevor. He works for a company called Astra Media, and they're a YouTube agency. We live 5 minutes from each other, and he manages the channels for like Kevin Hart, Paris Hilton, Khloe Kardashian, like all them. He's the YouTube channel manager for them, and so, um, and so he's one of my best friends. So we just nerd out about YouTube all the time.
No,
Yeah,
that's great.
helps
Well,
out.
we nerded out a little bit on podcasting and which is the
Yeah,
best platform and recording. And if you've got just for people that are listening, if you've got a mixing board, that means it allows for multiple mics to go into the mixer. And that goes back to my radio show days where we had an engineer in the booth because I would have up to 4 guests on my show.
yeah,
It's radio in LA. This was a long time ago, but there was no plug-in miking back then. It wasn't available. You had to have a mixer. And today,
hmm
the quality, like you made the adjustment very smartly. You went to a quality mic, something that was off with your sound before we began. How
weird.
important are these details?
Um, I don't know, dude. I'm so anal about sound. Like I also used to record music, so I'm so, this is to answer your question. If you're a podcaster, you need to remove every barrier of entry to somebody listening to your podcast or watching your podcast. That's what we teach all the time. So if you have crackly audio, that's a barrier of entry.
Bingo.
That means someone is less likely to listen to your podcast. If you have crappy video and it's super blurry and someone is the whole time, barrier of entry, right? Like you have to remove all of that just to give people a chance, to give your show a chance. But if they log into your show or they find your show on Apple and all of a sudden it's just like, welcome to the, and it just sounds like you're talking to a phone.
Right.
Like that's a barrier of entry. So what I was like, the reason why, and by the way, we talked about video, audio matters more still to this day. Like if you had to invest in something, pick audio, because still the majority of podcasts are consumed in the car, on a run, on a walk, listening while you're working in the kitchen, background noise. Like it's still generally consumed on the go. Very few people will like watch an hour-long podcast. Some do, but the majority is still on the go. So if you're going to invest in anything, dude, I just helped a company start a podcast and we're recording it with their iPhone. And you have no clue. You can't tell. Like, and we're professionally editing it. We have an iPhone on a tripod, and people think they have a professional studio. They have no clue it's being recorded on an iPhone.
And the microphone is only the iPhone?
No, they invested heavily in mic and audio. So they have these microphones, they have a mixing board, they have lights, so they have everything else. So they put about $1,000 into audio, right? $1,000 into audio and lights. And then they didn't do anything for they're just using their phone for the camera. And you would have no idea. Yeah, right. Because like we can still use that video for repurposing and clips and marketing and whatever, but they sound amazing. So anyone that is listening to them, they're going to have no idea it was shot on an iPhone, right? And they were on a tight budget. But again, that's the beautiful thing on working with someone that's done podcasting before. Because if for them, they could have either wasted a ton of money on all this video gear and had bad audio, and then they would have been in trouble. I'm helping a podcast right now, Mitch, that the guy made one of his employees in charge of building the podcast out. That employee spent like 40 to 50 hours trying to figure this thing out. They ordered the wrong mics. They ordered the wrong type of cameras. The thing didn't fit into this. And there's just a massive waste of company expense. And like, that's kind of the service we offer. It's like, hey, like, I've made tons of mistakes in 2 years. Like, hire me so you don't make those same mistakes, right? And
that's the reason you hire a coach. He's been there, done that.
Right. And so, yeah.
Michael Jordan had a coach. His name was Phil Jackson, who was never the player Michael Jordan was, but he was the great coach.
But he knew the game.
Yeah. How did you tap into these big name people? And I'm in admiration to land these.
So part of it is I'm really dumb, and I just think I have a really good chance to make it podcasting. I'm a very glass half full kind of guy, right? So part of me, like we talked about at the beginning, like that compliment I got from Mike, of like, hey, you're a really good interviewer. Then I was thinking, like, why can't I get in front of Chris Pratt one day, right? Like, why can't I get in front of the president of the United States one day? Like, why can't like? Because every interviewer or every podcast, the Diary of a CEO, you realize that one day he was just a kid in his high school. He was an average kid in his high school, right? Like every single person that's great had humble beginnings somewhere. And so when you live a life, you're like, it's probably not gonna be me. You're right. It's probably not gonna be you because you're not making any actions toward that thing. And so I think part of it, I just really believe that I'm like, hey, like if I'm gonna do a podcast, like I want to interview people like I really want to talk to, like not just make it a relationship machine. Like I want to interview like awesome people that I like would be like, how did I get this person? And so, like I said, it started with this guy from the Babylon Bee named Joel Berry. The Babylon Bee has a massive, like they have like 2 million followers on X, but like, so they have a big following in their little
Babylon Bee. I'd never heard of them.
Yeah. They're like a little conservative satire news organization.
Okay.
They make funny spoof articles. They're like the conservative version of The Onion.
Babylon Bee. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to look them up because I hadn't heard of them.
Yeah. So they make funny videos about everybody, both sides, everyone. And when I got him on, he was his brother is one of my friends. He made the sacrifice to drive up to my studio, and he lives like an hour and a half away. And that we had a couple of videos go viral, and that allowed me to get a guy named Brandon Tatum on, who has 4 million subscribers on YouTube or something stupid. It's just ridiculous. I don't even know. He's a former cop turned political commentator. And that was a incredible, this weird thing because he happened to be in Detroit speaking at a big conference of like 30,000 people or something ridiculous. And then he let me pick him up in my car from the event, drive him to my studio, and we recorded the podcast. And I took him out for dinner, and it was a cool thing. And then he invited me to a big event where I met more people. And it's so when I say like, when I learned how to network with insurance, it's the same thing when you network with celebrities. So I actually just made a video about this. If you wanna get someone famous on your podcast, you work backwards from them. It's kind of like if you want to have $1 million company, coaches will tell you, okay, you start with $1 million, you work backwards. How'd you get there, right? So if you have this person here, a very simple way to actually try to see how close you are to that person. So like, let's just say it's Danica Patrick, for example, when she came on the podcast. A way that if I didn't know who this person existed at all, or they don't know I exist at all, but they're a celebrity, I would go to their Instagram page. I would see who they follow, and I would pick 10 of those people that are like a lower tier than them that I want to get on my podcast as well. And then I'd go to those people, each of those 10, find 10 more people that are in a lower tier until you work your way all the way down to those people that have 10 to 100,000 followers on their Instagram page. Because you're not going to be able to jump right away to that million plus celebrity. But you would be surprised. Yes. But you'd be surprised. People from 10,000 to 100,000 are very reachable. So tomorrow, coming on my show, I've got named Dante, who has about 19,000 in TikTok followers. He does like business coaching. He's a young kid. He's like my age, but like I've been consuming his content like crazy because he's been helping me a ton because building these new businesses it's been a new challenge for me. So I've been enjoying his content. So I've been commenting on the stuff. And then I just send him a message on TikTok. I was like, hey bro, I'd love to get you on the show. And he said, yeah, like let's do it. Right. And so I only have a couple thousand. He's double my size, but that's a step up. And now he's connected to the next level of people. And that's just how you do it, right? So if like right now in my phone, like in a week and a half, I have this guy whose name is Funny Salesman. He's this black dude that blew up back when I was in college by he had this like spray bottle stuff, and he would go to these rich people's homes. He'd knock on the door, and he's hilarious. He's a black dude. He's hilarious. He's from the hood of Detroit. He'd go to these rich people's houses, and he'd like almost like a sham wow kind of thing. He'd like clean a spot, and he blew up, went viral when I was in college, right? Well,
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes, I think I've seen him.
Yeah, like I'm talking mega viral, right? And he's just hilarious, cracking jokes, He's like, don't shoot me, I'm black, whatever. Like just saying, like you can't say those things, but he's saying those things.
Right.
And I just met the guy. He's coming on my podcast a week and a half from now, but he was just hanging out with Snoop Dogg the other day. He's doing a thing with Ice Cube, and then he's going on Rogan, and he's going on my podcast next.
Oh my gosh!
But I'm saying like
that connection right there,
right?
Dillon.
So for me getting Kenny on, right? So his name's Kenny Brooks, stud and really kind guy. He's from Detroit, and he's doing me a big solid just because we're from the same city. But like my point is like, I get Kenny on, and Kenny now has just opened up
huge
doors, right? And so that's just kind of how it happens. So this guy named Nick Freitas, he's very big in the political scene. Like he's friends with I don't care what's up, but both sides, like Tulsi Gabbard, all the way from whatever, right? I have a list of 10 people prepared for after that podcast. And if it goes well, assuming it goes well and he has a good time, we vibe. I'm going to be like, hey man, I noticed that you follow these people on Instagram and they follow you back. Would you mind introducing me to any of them?
Bravo.
And then that's just been the model.
You get the green chicken now.
Oh, green chicken for all the audio listeners. The last one was yellow and now it's green. We've
well, you upgraded on that one. I have to share an incident with you and see how, because I have a suspicion where you're going to go with it. I want to hear it. So I live in a condo when I'm in Thailand, and I also go back to Vegas because I have my show there. So I'm here recording somebody at 5 a.m. my time. So that would have been 5 p.m. EST, your time.
Okay.
And there are the loud talking going on, almost shouting down the hall, 2 doors down from me in my condo. I'm on, in a very nice condo here on the beach. And I look out the door, and this guy looks back at me and says, "What the F is your problem?" Because I opened the door and I'm hearing all this noise, and he starts walking toward me.
Uh-oh.
Okay. And I thought, okay. I knew immediately who he was. His name was Chuck Liddell, former light heavyweight champion of the world, UFC fighter. You know who he is?
I've heard the name. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I have a
Look at his picture up.
my own background in martial arts when I was younger. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and I said, "Hey, I'm a big fan, Chuck. Good to see you." He said, "Oh," he wanted to fight me to where he, no, because I just looked at him. He didn't
You
like the
just
way
looked
I
at him.
looked at him,
Oh no.
and I ended up taking a picture with him and calmed him down. I said, "Okay, it's fine. Good to see you." And I said, "Hey, do you mind if I take a picture with you?" It was my most shared post on my Facebook. That's all I did is post it on Facebook saying turn
Mm,
confrontation into potential collaboration. He's going to,
mm.
in the future, I'm able to nail down the date, a guest on my podcast. What does that open up for me?
It's
Other
huge.
UFC champions.
Yep. Yep. And if you come prepared, like doing some pre-research, making that ask, like that's where it really becomes like after the podcast, it goes well, you guys are vibing, you've done pre-research, you're like, hey man, no pressure, but I've actually like compiled a list of people that like you follow and follow back that I'd love to get an introduction. Okay, I
Exactly.
like send a list over, like no pressure. And the fact that you've even just done the pre-homework is impressive to a lot of people. Like you're like, hey, I've already taken the time, I've compiled the list, like no pressure, but most likely if you give them again, I wouldn't go over 15, but I'd go like be around 10.
Mm.
Yeah, man, like it unbelievable like opportunity. And then you know what? The crazy thing is, he probably also knows people non-UFC related. Like if you dig into people, like he might follow like some person that you're like, dude, I've always wanted to talk to him. And what I always tell people is like, make the ask. It's like the sales 101, right? When you're trying to close a deal, make the ask. Like, you're gonna you're guaranteed to get a no if you don't ask, right? You're guaranteed. So you might as well make the
Sure.
ask.
Sure.
And so,
Wayne Gretzky said it. You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
yep, there it is. And so part of me of this that like grinding 100 cold calls every single week, being told no every single day, I think has shaped my mentality towards podcasting, towards getting guests, towards using it as a relationship magnet. Um, because dude, it's like so easy to get someone to say yes for a podcast compared to something else. And
And I
and
respect the 100 calls a day. I did that for Merrill Lynch. I was a stockbroker years ago, and that
yeah.
was my grind. We were required to make 100,
Oof.
smile, and dial. Oh, I know it. And
Mm.
it was finger dialing back then.
Yeah, how don't you have carpal tunnel now, man? That's
I already
great.
had the surgery. I already
Oh
had,
no.
yeah. Oh yeah. I
Oh
absolutely
man.
already had the surgery and the trigger fingers. Yes, that came
Oh
because of
man.
repetitive motion. Oh, you nailed it right there.
Dude.
But I
Dude.
get it. I get
Yeah.
it. I knocked on doors also. But isn't
Yeah.
that interesting? We have a similar background in that you sold insurance. I mean, I did some life, but not really. Most of
Yeah.
it was selling options, getting people in and or long stocks and what have you. That type of grit, that type of commitment, being willing to get punched in the face on a daily basis and still get up and move forward, defines someone. And those are characteristics of a successful individual. Being
Yeah.
willing to take a few lashings and still progress. Because if you don't get punched in the face, how are you going to appreciate when it does happen in life? If you've got
Yeah.
no understanding of what it takes to be successful. How many CEOs have you interviewed who haven't been punched in the face, figuratively? Maybe
Yeah.
literally too. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably zero. Yeah. One of the best jobs a young person can do is being a waiter somewhere, like in the service industry.
Okay.
Because that was my first. I was a waiter for Steak and Shake when I was in high school, right?
All right. All right.
And that was my first taste because it's a little
Nice
bit of
word choice.
commission,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. What do you say?
Nice word choice. Taste.
There you go. Yeah, taste. Yeah. Or it was very taste. I love Steak and Shake, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a good place. Anyway, but you have to work because you have to get tips, and it's your first taste of like, wow, if I work harder and do a good job, I get paid more, right?
Mm,
And so it kind of whet my appetite. There's another one
mm.
for sales and
Yes.
entrepreneurship and commission. But what it also did was teach you life was unfair. Because you would do an amazing job and then a table would stiff you and not tip you at all.
Wow.
And you learned how to just pick yourself back up, smile at the next customer, and get it back, right? And so I think for young people, like I don't, the fast food industry, it gets frowned on all the time. It's the best thing for a 16-year-old to work at. It's so good. It teaches you hard work for no gratification. No one likes you, and that's like a perfect thing to get started in, because like that's the world to a degree, but it also teaches you so many good things. And so like working at Steak and Shake for me as a server, like I remember I made like 18 to 20 bucks an hour back when in 2012, right? And that was great money. That was back when minimum wage was like 8.25. And
Mhm.
it taught me, I'm like, wait, like this is American dream. Like I could work harder and get paid more. And that's what really like I haven't been a W-2 anywhere outside of my own company like since college. And I think it was because it was instilled to me at such a young age by accident that I actually do enjoy and thrive in those environments. And it's like you said, I think I would just encourage young people to get jobs that get punched in the face every once in a while, figuratively.
Yes,
Because,
yeah, you don't have to.
you know,
I used a lot of those metaphors because of my fight background. I mean,
not like Chuck Liddell, don't.
yeah, well, yeah, but I understand if I'm able to secure him. It took him a while. We exchanged numbers, did all of that. I said, I want to have you on my podcast. I leaped at the opportunity
Of
because I
course.
went all the way down. I want to get Dana White on my show, who's the
Yeah.
CEO. He's friends with President Trump. I went that far in an instant. This is my opportunity. I better seize it because I'm never
Yep.
going to run into this guy again. I'm not in that circle. I'm not a
Yep.
groupie or I seized the opportunity. Let's see where it goes. I haven't nailed him down yet.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I have
It-
that. I've met
but
you now.
and even if you never do nail him down, you know that you gave it your best effort. Like you were like, I asked, and it would have been way worse for you if you would have never even just asked. And we would have been having this conversation. You'd be like, oh, I should have asked Chuck Liddell, right? But you did ask, and now you at least have a chance. And it'll happen, man. It'll happen.
Well, and I spoke at a conference in Detroit about a year and a half ago, and there is a Detroit very successful man in the speaking business who trains other speakers and he runs events. I'm going to introduce him to you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and he would be a great guest. I forgot the name of the outlying city. I think it's an hour outside of Detroit proper that I took from the airport. I took a grab or not a grab, an Uber out there.
Yeah.
I'll think of it. Troy, Michigan. Is it Troy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Troy. I don't know. Yeah.
he's Troy. He's from Troy, and that's where I
Okay.
went to his event. Spoke at his event, and I think he'll be a good introduction for you.
Yeah. Love that.
Open up a whole array of people that might be appropriate. Now he's Detroit proper or Detroit local, but who else, you like to focus on Detroit people.
Yeah. I live 15 minutes out of the city.
Yeah.
So outside the city. Yeah.
So I'm saying most of his, well, he'll know a lot of Detroit people also, but he
Yeah.
had a newscaster from Detroit's CBS channel came in and spoke, so you never know where it leads. And
Yeah.
for me, you have your own show. You may like me at the end, but it'll all depend on the introduction or the result. You may want to introduce me to whomever, one of your
Right.
clients that may benefit from me because other doors open. That's called
Right.
the rule of reciprocity.
Yeah. Exactly. And speaking like living in an abundance mindset, like there's business for everyone.
Mm.
Like you don't need to hoard your contacts, right? You don't need to like there's so much business to go around, right? Like there's tons of business billionaires in the world. There's tons of millionaires in the world. Like it's not like you sharing something or not sharing something is gonna hurt you. And you're right. Generally speaking, giving is always better than just taking,
Well, and also, you and I are not competitors. We're
right?
collaborators. And that's
Right.
how you have to look at it. Even if someone directly competes with what you do, you never know. Some of my best allies, as I was a professional speaker traveling the globe, spoken on stages in 63 countries. Some of the people that were in the same category at a time, they could refer me because there were overlapping gigs. Hey, do you have a speaker on this topic? Yeah, I do know. My buddy is great. And here he is. Here's his info. I'm booked on that date. So you
Yeah.
don't look at people as enemies that are in your space, they're collaborators. They might be a better fit. It's just
100%.
It comes from the abundance versus the mentality of scarcity.
Yes.
So I
100% agree.
yeah.
A mentor always used to tell me, build up walls before you burn bridges.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Right. And you could build a wall. It's okay. Right. You don't have to be best friends with everyone. Or if you have that competitor, yeah, maybe you do build a wall. You like, you're not going to be best friends and hey, you can go play over there. I'm gonna play over here, but don't burn a bridge. There's no reason to burn the bridge because you have to rebuild the whole bridge. And that takes a long time to tear down a wall.
Well, and you may end up wanting to buy their business.
Right.
There was I ran roll-ups for a while before I sold my company off, and I bought other ad agencies. I owned an ad agency in LA and sold it 18 years ago to a publicly traded company called Halo Branded Solutions. They're a little over $1 billion in revenues, and they rolled up on me because I'd rolled up on smaller businesses and I made myself very attractive. So they purchased my assets, and you just don't know. They were a competitor who became a payout source for me. Yeah. And you just don't know. Don't burn bridges. Dillon, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach out to you to potentially be a guest and or use your services of helping them get set up with podcasting in America?
Yeah, just go to dillonengland.com. That'd be the best way. My contact information's there, contact forms there, emails there. So if you go to dillonengland.com, all the information on our podcast business, my podcast, socials, you can follow me on Instagram. Everything is I'm Dillon England. Then the letter M, Dillon England. You can follow me there as well. And yeah, please, anyone that hears this, Mitch is great. Great interview, Mitch. You did. This is fun. This is really fun. You made me feel right at home. It's like we know each other for years, and that's the sign of a good host is when you can just make someone just relax. And I enjoyed it a lot, so I appreciate you letting me.
It's the power of the chicken. This makes all the.
Oh, back to the yellow one. Not as cool for the green one.
No, the green is when it's money. This is acknowledgement. Yeah, this is acknowledgement of having a good time. Yeah, and I'm big on props and speaking. So, hey, bud, thank you so much for your time today, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.